Cześć czołem, dziś moim gościem jest M.Taylor, były trener KoszKadry, a obecnie trener i generalny menadżer Winnipeg Seabirds, grających w lidze CEBL. Rozmawiamy o KoszKadrze, Eurobaskecie, NBA i o tym, czy komentowanie spotkań dla FIBA to plan na emeryturę. Zapraszam. Hello, coach.
Michal, how are you?
Hot in Poland, but probably it's getting hotter in our interview.
We'll see. Let's go.
We last spoke 7 years ago, before the World Cup, so I would like to start with the past. I know you can be really tired telling the old stories, but you played 111 games with Polish national team, second in the history as a coach with so long tenure. What was the biggest lesson for you that you continue to apply in your career?
Oh, I think there's many things that you draw from, experiences like that, to last 7-8 years with a team. You build great relationships. You overcome a lot of challenges and you accomplish a lot. I'm really proud of everything that we accomplished. I think we left Polish basketball in a much better situation than when I got there. And I think that there was great accomplishments individually from the players and collectively from the team along the way. So I think the one thing that, even here in Winnipeg and the different places that I've coached, it's just a reinforcement of the coaching style, a reinforcement of the things that you're doing that lead you to the success. That relationship-based approach, that positive approach, the things we did to try to connect the team and build the team, and help players break through to that next level. Those are the things I'm really proud of. And, the relationships last. So, I'm still in touch with, so many people from Poland, friends for life, and really rooting for those guys. And rooting for the national team. So we want to see success and we want to see these guys continue the tradition and do great things. So it's over 8 years. It's hard to pinpoint just one thing. I just think it's the general reinforcement of, hey, keep going your way, keep doing your thing, because those are the things that naturally led to success.
If you had to list your top 3 most positive and let's say less positive but negative memories from that period, what would it be?
That's a good question. I think the positive memories obviously have a lot to do with the World Cup. Obviously going to China and winning, obviously we beat Venezuela, then the big game against China. Obviously that's something special, to go into China and win, the fantastic overtime game. Then, a lot of people will overlook the game against Russia. That also was a huge win with, it really challenged our team. So let's put all of that in one. The World Cup, the experience playing against Team USA, finishing 8th. I think to me that's probably the number one thing. I was really proud of the win in Zaragoza. Lucas Koshar's 200th game. AJ Slaughter had a big game. We beat Spain for the first time in 48 years. I think beating a team like that on the road was also something great for Polish basketball. And then again, I would say just generally, having Polish basketball, 42nd, 44th, whatever the ranking was in the world when I got there, and to get all the way up to 13th, these type things were fantastic for our country, and really proud of all the people being there. So I would say just in general, the progress that was made during my time with Polish basketball, qualifying, earning our way to 3, Eurobaskets, playing great and going to the second World Cup in Polish history. And then some of those big wins along the way, most notably the win against Spain.
You played against the US at the World Cup. So what was the feeling about playing against your country, basically?
Oh, it was a dream come true. and I tell the story that in 2015, I was based in the Fairfax, Virginia, Washington, D.C. area. I was spending a lot of time around the Washington Wizards and Marcin Gortat, but I used that time in the United States to, go visit several coaches. I identified several coaches I wanted to spend time with. So I went to see the Spurs player development. I spent time with those guys. It was great. I went to see Coach Bob McKillop at Davidson, Coach Jim Larinaga at Miami. There were a handful of coaches that I wanted to identify and go see. Well, when I was in North Carolina, my dad had coached Coach K at Duke at West Point. My dad was an assistant for Bob Knight at Army. So as a young coach, I worked summer basketball camps at Duke for several summers and made some great friends and, great rising coaches. It really helped my network. Well, when I was in North Carolina in 2015, I said, hey, I'm going to pop in and visit Coach K. So I stop in. I'm wearing my Polish national team, polo. I sit on the side and Seth Greenberg from ESPN was there. So we were talking and had a great day watching practice. Coach K walked over and, hey, Coach K, he's like, hey, where are you now? I'm coaching the Polish national team. And, he loves his Polish heritage. So he's very proud of it. And he was really happy to hear that. And I kind of said to him, Coach K, it's my dream that we play against you. He was coaching the dream team at the time. We really want to play you guys. And he just kind of laughed and looked at me and said, hey, you better play well. It was kind of like a joke, but it was also serious. Like, come on, guy, you guys aren't on our level. So I had always kept that in the back of my mind as a dream. Hey, I really hope someday in one of these championships, one of these situations, we get a chance to play against the dream team, Team USA. Well, as it would happen in the World Cup, we were focused on just achieving, and we won the games in our first group, and then we beat Russia and qualified for the top 8. The games after that were challenging. Obviously, Argentina showed their class and beat us. And then the game for positioning with, the Czech Republic and obviously the top 8 game quarterfinal against Spain. But then we end up playing Team USA. And then obviously the dream, you're out on the floor, you hear the national anthem, the United States. It's not for you though, right? We hear our Polish anthem but being out there was something special. It's a life experience for everyone. We played everyone in the first half because, just the moment. And then in the second half, I think the guys really went at them and really were respectable. And I know there were some moments, for example, Jaylen Brown after the game went up to Mateusz Panika and was really respectful, said, hey, man, I like your game. You played really well. Coach Popovich had some really good words for me when we shook hands and we were backstage before the press conference. He had some really, encouraging and great words from a veteran coach to a young coach. So those are moments that are, just golden. And those are moments that you'll just treasure for the rest of your life. But it's definitely something for AJ Slaughter and myself as Americans, committed to a different country. It was a unique experience and something that, we had kind of dreamed about, for several years.
What about negative memories?
Oh, I think the thing about...
I know you are so much positive person, but
yeah,
you had to have it.
I'm going to give you an answer. I think the thing about, national teams, there's so many politics. There's so many politics involved. There's people that will support you and there's people that will just not like you just because, you're on the other side of those politics. And I think that one of the things that I've seen about the Polish national team is there are a lot of politics involved with the whole situation. And I think that, one thing you can point to is that when we did have success, there were certain points that we did not handle that success well in terms of what the next steps were. So, when you get into the politics of the circumstances, I will say some of the negatives after Eurobasket 2017, where we struggled, then we went into the first window, we split, we beat Hungary at home in Bydgoszcz, and then we went. The federation chartered a flight for us to Lithuania, and Lithuania beat us in, I think it was Klaipėda. And then the next one, we started against Kosovo in Wrocław and won. But then we went down to Hungary and lost, if you remember these games. But there was a big controversy after we went into Szombathely, Hungary, and lost, because people were like, oh, a bunch of the players went out in Warsaw and blah, blah, blah. It was never substantiated. You know, there were some people that were working against me, and some people that were trying to, you know, position our situation, because we had, you know, struggled winning one game in Eurobasket 2017. And I think maybe some people looked at that as opportunity. Hey, you know, let's get Mike out and try to get in there. So I think that was probably the toughest time for me. And I point to championship teams and great achievements need adversity. They need that difficult time so that people can dig deeper. And our success in China was a lot because of those difficult times. From that difficult time, we were able to really redefine who was on that national team, right? There were a couple guys that kind of moved off the team. There were a couple guys that we brought in. And we really, if you remember those qualifiers, you know, we won 5 straight games to finish them. And at that point, we got the team right. We got the guys who put their heart into it. There were no distractions. There was everybody focused. And we went on that run. You know, we beat Italy. We beat Croatia with the NBA players. We did all these good things. But it was because of the adversity and difficult times that we went through that we were able to dig deeper and really do something special. But that, you know, the negativity of people, you know, politically trying to target, you know, these situations. Hell, the team struggled in you know, Helsinki. We did, but you know, remember in Helsinki after the game against Finland where they had the great comeback and we lost, AJ Slaughter didn't play those last 2 games, so he didn't play against France. He didn't play against Greece, and we were really shorthanded. So I think that's number one. I think number two, again, handling success, the disappointment of, you know, how Adam Wyszynski, you know, handled his situation without taking responsibility for himself to manage his own issue. And then, you know, we can get into that later, but how he tried to come back into the team, but the trust was not there on his side. And from our situation, we had to make a hard decision and protect the team. But, you know, I think that the politics got involved in that situation as well, where, you know, Adam was not happy about certain things. And I think that he kind of put me in the middle of his conflict with the president, you know, and you can look at things differently, but, you know, Adam was waiting for me to solve it. I solved it before the World Cup to get him involved. And then after that, I think that, you know, there needed to be more responsibility from him to solve his own problem. But that was an issue because Adam was one of the best players, you know, that we've had, and we needed him to be really at maximum. You know, you have a small pool of really high level players. And even if Mateus had, you know, become maybe the main leader of the team, Adam, there was still a place for him in our team, in our success. So the fact that he kind of put me in the middle of that conflict, number one, I didn't appreciate, right? But number two, I think that he needed to solve that more on his own. But I think those are kind of the negative parts you have there. You know, and I would just generally put it into the politics of a national team. Everybody has them. But I think those are some general circumstances that, you know, you look at the good times that we achieved so many great things. But I think clearly those are times that were challenging. And I appreciate Grzegorz Bahanski for his support during the difficult time. And I think that's really what allowed us to position ourselves for the success later. And I'm really thankful we were able to pay him back.
I know it's a strange memory for me because it was a lot of great games at your tenure on our national team. But I remember specifically one game after the Croatia game, Dino Radja was so pissed that he was cursing around the parking lot for the media, and it was like very much pissed. A lot of Fs and stuff like that was flying around there, and I'm remembering like my guy from basketball cards from 90s is cursing because he lost a game to a Polish team. He have basketball players from NBA in that game, so that's my best memory after this game. But let's stay in the politics area. Do you think your non-renewal of your contract, it was a politics or it was consequences of your, I don't know, better offers? What can you say about it?
I think that the way coaching works, you have, first of all, the fact I'm a little unusual because I've been able to stay with teams for a long time. I coached Rasha Farm Home for 8 years in Germany. I coached Poland for 8 years. Like the circumstances around a coach lasting are, he's good with relationships. He's good with people. And I think the fact that I stayed with Poland for so long was a testament to the relationships that were built. The belief that so many players had in the things that we were doing. Again, I'm thankful that during that difficult time in, let's say, 2017, Grzegorz Bahanski supported me. We sat in the Federation office and, I laid out the discussion and the plan, and he supported it and stuck with it through it all. And we were able to really pay it back to the country. But, look, we had a great success with the World Cup. The qualifiers, again, we qualify for the next Eurobasket. So we qualified for 3 straight Eurobaskets. We had the wonderful opportunity to play at Kaunas in the Olympic qualifying tournament in 2021. Unfortunately, we beat Angola the first game, and then we played, Slovenia. And at that point, that team was a machine with Luka Doncic and all the good players. It wasn't just his show, but he was the guy that was leading them. And I think there was a real overreaction in Poland when we lost to them. Because if you now look back at it and you see that Luka Doncic led the team to win that Olympic qualifying tournament and led the team to the Olympics, and all the great things, scoring points and triple doubles and all the great things he did at the Olympics, they have a chance for a medal at the end. I think that puts things into perspective. Like, man, they were clearly the best team there. And Poland, them losing by 20 or whatever, it wasn't that bad compared to what happened to teams later in the summer, right? So I think there was an overreaction from that game. And then if you remember the last game against Lithuania, we played very well in the first half. And it was a close game in halftime, whether we were leading or behind by a point or so. We were really feeling great about it, where we were and what we did. But at halftime, Arvydas Sabonis goes into the Lithuanian locker room, and he's yelling at those guys. You can hear him. And they came out in the third quarter, and I think maybe we scored 12 points or something like that. We struggled to score in that third quarter. They built up a lead and basically took control of the game. But again, I feel like at that point, I was there for 8 years, and it's a situation where, sometimes a team needs a new voice. Sometimes a team needs a fresh start. Now, for me, I think we had the right plans in terms of, getting to the next generation of players. I think that, when they made the choice, a lot of it was, we need to get the next generation of player in, and they weren't ready for that. The next generation of guys weren't ready. We had like the succession plan in place, so as one player would, let's say, retire, we had another player ready to step in and kind of fill those roles. So the plan was there. I was under the assumption that, for me and our family, it's like, hey, we're going to extend your contract. We want you to move back into Warsaw, into Poland. And we were on board with it. We were ready to do it. But at the end in September, a couple months later, the phone call came, hey, we had a meeting with the board and we're going to move in a different direction. We're not going to extend your contract. So, that's just part of coaching. They have every right to make the decisions they want. But for me, it was never because of anything negative from my side. It was just maybe they felt like they wanted a different voice. Like I said, that's just part of it. I look back at the whole totality of the experience, and I'm so thankful. I'm really proud of what we accomplished. I think there were some tremendous highs and very few lows. I think in that case, it was just a great time for Polish basketball, and friends for life were made during those 8 years.
Do you think that the successes of your team led to the later successes, right? Like right now, Eurobasket 25, the 4th place on the last Eurobasket?
Well, I think that the players that we've worked with, the players that we've been involved with, were a tremendous part of, the success in Berlin. They're a tremendous part of helping Polish basketball make the next steps. I think what happened during our time, we found in our run, the national team made big steps when a lot of the national players started to play international competition. You had Panika who left Polish basketball, the Polish league, went to Belgium, came back to Zelenogora, and then he's in Spain, then he's in Russia, he's in Turkey. Adam Wyszynski, left and went to Spain. Tomas Giello started his career in Spain. Michal Michalek was in Italy. He was in different places. Damian Kulig went to Turkey. Sokolowski went to Italy. I'm sorry. All of these different players individually made big steps on the international stage when they not only played domestic competition. This is not a knock against the Polish league at all. It's just the highest level national team guys, the players playing in the ACB that are also playing in the EuroLeague or the Euro Cup. They're playing on that level, that standard, 2 times a week, every single week during the season. And when we had more guys playing on that level, our team became much more competitive. So we started to see more and more Polish players playing internationally, playing, in the cups, not just playing domestically. And this began to raise their individual level. And then that began to raise the level of the national team. So it was a process over several years. And now you have players being respected and people are interested. I mean, look at what Oleg Bolsarowski has done with his young career. Right. He's been part of winning teams. Hey, this guy from Poland, he's a good player. So I think the respect started to come for Polish players. And I think all of that stuff really helped raise the level. Difficult moments playing away as a team. And I think, this is what it really allowed us to dig deep when we played in China and rise to that challenge and rise to that occasion and break through and get that win. So I think it was a combination of the natural development of the individual players and a combination with the development of the experiences of our national team, the things that we had gone through and grown through. I think this was what gave these players the core. And then again, when they moved off of some of our guys, Aaron Sell, some of these players, for example, when they moved off of those guys, they started to realize, oh, hey, we didn't qualify because we're too young, we're inexperienced, these guys aren't ready. One of the things that's so difficult is getting young players quality national team experience, right? How do you bring these young guys into the national team? And we did it in certain ways. Well, I think they just kind of, overstepped it in the beginning after I was done. Then they start to bring back guys from our core. And then this experience that they had as players really led to the success of the team in Berlin. And they had some great moments, including the upset win over Slovenia. Mateus's unbelievable triple-double.
Revenge game.
Revenge game for sure, right? But those guys, I was really proud of what they accomplished. It's a great thing for Polish basketball, and it's something you love to see. But without a doubt, part of their success there is the fact that these players have gone through so much, and part of their experience they were able to draw from in those moments.
How do you rate the chances on the Eurobasket 25 of the current team. We know we unfortunately lost Jeremy Sohan before the tournament started. What can you say about our team right now?
Well, I'm following the team. I watched a couple of the preparation games. Still very close with Mateusz Panika and obviously some of the staff, Dominator and these guys. I mean, really rooting for them, really rooting for it. And I've been chatting with them, and, I'll be doing the TV for FIBA. I'll be based in Riga, Latvia with M.Taylor. So my message to them is I'm rooting for you. I hope to see you guys in the next stages. Right. So I think it's great that they've added Jordan Lloyd. I think that's a great pickup. Poland is the country that, I think, we can talk about the development of players and things, but Poland has not been known as developing great point guards. So I think the addition of a passport player that is a scoring guard, combo guard creator is a great thing. So I think that's very, very positive. With Jeremy, it's tough. It's disappointing, but I understand him and I understand the Spurs. I think if you take a look at what is going on in the NBA, we've had an unbelievable, bad luck for guys or negative situation with all these Achilles injuries, right? Yeah. And what have they seen with, Damian Lillard and all of these guys that are blowing out their Achilles, right? Right before it, there's the calf strain. And I think that this, to me, is the number one thing that the Spurs see, and number one thing that they're influencing Jeremy with is, hey, open your eyes and take a look at what's been going on with all these great players. Halliburton, Lillard, for example. Halliburton tried to play despite the calf strain, and the calf strain put extra stress and pressure on the Achilles, and that's when the Achilles popped. And the same thing with Lillard. So it makes sense for them to protect their investment and say, listen, Jeremy, if you're healthy, we support you playing. But look at the recent trends and recent experiences and developments. We need you on the floor. We want you on the floor. Be conservative here. Take care of that leg. Take care of that calf strain so that there's no major next step incident of a Achilles tear. So it's terrible news for Poland. Jeremy, we brought him to the national team, back in 2020, it was 2020, I believe, where he came to our bubble and played against Romania. And at that point, as a 17-year-old, the youngest player ever brought to the national team, I mean, he was mature beyond his years on the court. It was unbelievable what we saw. Then he went to Baylor and played very well, and now he's done very, very well in the NBA. I know the heart is there to play for his country. He's really excited about it. But I can tell you from dealing with NBA teams and dealing with NBA players that the reality is, there's so much money involved and so much circumstances involved that, the priority will always be protecting their investment. And unfortunately, I think this is the case here with Jeremy in Poland this summer.
Okay, enough the past, enough national teams. Let's go to Canada. Before I have a lot of questions about this league. So before I ask about your team, what can you say about this league, about the rules, differences with FIBA, NBA, something like that?
So the CEBL is in its 7th year. It is the FIBA represented league for Canada. It's unique because it's not in a traditional season. We play, now it's a 4-month season. We play basically May through August. So it's a summer season. It's a summer league. And it's not for everyone, right? There's a lot of things that people can do in the summer, and a lot of guys don't want to play basketball all summer, but some guys use it as a great stepping stone. I think if we look at the identity of the league, it's a great stepping stone opportunity for players. I think more and more teams in Europe, there's many teams in Poland, many teams in Germany and Spain and all these countries that are starting to recruit Canadian players out of this league and American players. We'll talk about both. The first thing with the Canadian players, we see the highest level, the impact that Canada basketball and the development of basketball in this country has made in the NBA. You look at MVP, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, you look at the Canadian national team with all of these NBA players. Like you talk about a dream team in the USA, well, Canada also is stacked with NBA talent. in
NBA
Canada,
champions, come on, NBA champions,
yeah,
Toronto Raptors.
yes, 100%. But, right now there's been a transition in Canada. Canada is a great ice hockey country. It's number one, like there's so much tradition, but hockey is an expensive game. Well, in cities where maybe there's not so much money, basketball, since the Raptors have come in and developed, and there's more and more programming for basketball through Canada Basketball and other places. People are playing and playing and playing, and now we see this talent coming out of the country. So now we have more and more Canadian players in the NBA. We have more and more Canadian players overseas. Even in Winnipeg, our organization is 3 years old, and there is such an increase in the amount of participation for boys, girls, men, women in basketball leagues, on teams. Basketball is exploding in Canada. And I think this is a great thing, and it's a great thing to be a part of. I'm so thankful that our organization and our league can be involved in such a circumstance. But the other part of it is for the American players. We've recruited out of the G League a lot. And the reason we've done that is because our season, like we're preparing for playoffs right now. We're hosting championship weekend here in Winnipeg, August 22nd to the 24th. We are in the Western Final as hosts. And the challenge for us, I'm the head coach and general manager. So in building the roster, we did not want to have the fight of losing a player to go overseas for a national team, for a club team preseason. So we recruited our imports directly out of the G League because those timelines line up, right? You're not going to lose a G League player because their stuff doesn't start until September, October with the NBA. So those guys are available all the way through the end of August. But the thing for these import guys, these American players, for them, we play FIBA rules. The only adjustment is, target score time at the end of the game. And I think playing the NBA rules in the G League, what our league provides these players, many of them have never been overseas before. They're young, rising, talented players that will have opportunities in the future. They get their first experience of playing FIBA basketball. And people will say, hey, if European leagues are physical, then the CEBL is also a physical FIBA league compared to the NBA style game. So I feel like our league is a great transition first experience for a lot of the import players, and it's a great developmental ground for the young Canadian players. And as a result, we've seen more and more players from the CEBL sign with teams in Poland, with teams in Germany, with teams in France, with teams in Netherlands, with teams in Spain. It's more and more talent going over there that is ready to help the team win than ever before.
You told that everybody's playing basketball in Canada. Of course, it's not everybody, but a lot of people. But do you think it's boosted, like they have special basketball program for young kids, or it's just like stars, successes, and everything around Canada?
No, it's at the grassroots level. So here in Winnipeg, we have what's called Basketball Manitoba. Manitoba is the province. So like it's the USA state. Like I'm from Florida in the USA. So Manitoba is the province or relative to the state. And we have a group called Basketball Manitoba. And we have a practice gym called Sport for Life Center, and their offices are in the Sport for Life Center with all of the other, sports for this province. And the programs, the leagues, the Winnipeg basketball leagues that are here, we have a great Filipino population. Obviously, they love basketball. They have their leagues. There's more and more opportunities for young kids to play. There's more and more opportunities for adults to play. And I think, obviously, the winters are long. The winters are not easy here. So people are looking for indoor activities and things to do. And I think in 2023, our first year, the statistics came back. There was a 24% boost in basketball participation in the province of Manitoba. And that was really sparked. They called it the Sea Bears effect. It was sparked by the Sea Bears. Now Winnipeg kids growing up can look on the court and see players, professionals, Canadians, guys from Winnipeg, and they can aspire to be that next generation. And I think this is one of the great things that's going on with the CEBL, with basketball in Canada, and I think it's a great thing for the future. So, without a doubt, it's we do some things with the Sea Bears. We have summer camps called the Sea Bears Summer Series, where we've got age-specific camps, maybe four or five of them, where young kids can come one day, older kids come another day, and you basically give them some experience playing basketball. So there's more and more opportunities, and I just think it's a great thing all around for the game and for Canada basketball.
You are both coach and general manager of Winnipeg Sea Bears. I know this league, of course, like you said, is basically summer league, but how hard it's to do both jobs?
To me, it's not a challenge. It's something I love to do. I think it fits perfectly in this league. And a lot of teams have the head coach, general manager position. Sometimes you can have a difference of opinion on a player. Like a general manager will sign a player, maybe the coach doesn't see him the same way, and they can, not be on the same page. I mean, if I sign a player to play for Winnipeg, I know exactly the role I want to have him in. I know exactly my perception of how I want to use him. So it makes it really easy for me to, just make that everything is unified. I think the thing that I love about the CEBL, it's like old school minor league basketball in the USA. And remember, I've been a part of the old United States Basketball League with the Dodge City Legend and Kansas Cagers. I've been with that 3 summers. I was with those teams. And the trick of minor league basketball in the USA back before the G League, we're talking about the old CBA. We're talking about these old leagues. The head coach was often a head coach general manager. And the trick is to be good at the X's and O's of basketball, but also be good and know players. You needed to keep your roster at a competitive level all the time. So if you lost a player to a trade or an injury or a call up, you needed to replace him with quality. And this is the challenge that a lot of minor league situations present. The thing I love about the CEBL is, now all of these, let's say G League teams are run by the NBA teams. And I've coached in the G League 1 year as an assistant with the RGV Vipers and 2 years as head coach with the Maine Red Claws. So I had that experience. When I'm in Maine, I'm coaching the first year Doc Rivers' system. I'm not in control of the roster, who I'm coaching. And the next year it was Brad Stevens' stuff that we were running, right? And the same thing. So the NBA teams are running the player personnel stuff, building the roster, and they're dictating what X's and O's, what systems you're needing to run. The beauty of the CEBL is, as the head coach and general manager, I have complete control over the type of system we're running and the type of roster we're building. So I've really enjoyed the challenges of it. It's more like the throwback old school, and there's not too many places around like that anymore. And it's been just a fun 3 years to help establish this expansion franchise and build it from the ground up. It's been a unique experience, and I'm really proud of the results. We hit the ground running competitive immediately. We've made the playoffs the first 3 years. So for an expansion team, I think we've done some great things here in Winnipeg, and it's been a lot of fun as both the head coach and general manager.
So describe your playing style.
Oh, so again,
it's fast-paced modern basketball, or is it sort of muscle beach in the paint?
No, so I think that, I'm unique because I have the experience from all the different places I've coached. And to me, it's important that you know where you are, what you're doing. For example, if I bring the same system from the Polish national team here to the CEBL, the players are different. This is more of a North American style. When I say North American style, it's more downhill. It's just athleticism and individual talent, and guys get the ball and want to go score and want to go create. So you need to create a structure for them that they're comfortable with, that they feel great about. So where we would have some more detailed off the ball movement and detailed execution off the ball, teamwork, reverse the ball, screening, and all these different things. We have more quick hitter actions here. The point is it's a very transition-based league where you're trying to score early in the shot clock before the defense is set. And even in the half court, you're trying to create downhill drives to aggressively pressure the rim. And then, have players be able to play off penetration and create for one another. So those are the things. I think it's really important that you know the league that you're coaching in and understand what that style is. And again, I describe the CEBL as a North American style of play. So similar to the G League, where players are trying to get downhill, where players are trying to pressure the rim and score early. And again, like the systems that you would try to bring from the CEBL overseas may not fit. And the systems that you would bring from overseas to the CEBL may not fit. It's just important that you know kind of your audience and kind of target your system to them.
In last podcast, that 7 years ago, we talked about prospects from Europe. I'm going to use this name again, Luka Doncic, and I don't know why I was asking about Isaac Bonga. So it was strange. But my question is not about Euro prospects, because as we can see, European basketball is taking over NBA or abroad basketball from United States. Do you think there is a reason why American players are not so talented, so good like Luka Doncic, Nikola Jokic? Do you find the reason somewhere?
Well, I think it's the system and structure about ways players are developing. I think what the United States has is extreme competition, extreme numbers. There's so many kids playing basketball and so many athletes, and the competition among these kids naturally produces high-level talent. The difference to me is in understanding of the team game and the individual high-level skills. I think my experience coaching in Europe and watching how European prospects are developed, kids are going into the gym and they're doing their work. They're working on skills. They're not playing as many games. In the USA, the AAU program, the way these kids are they're just playing 100 games a summer. It's just unbelievable. The opportunity to play is a great thing. The opportunity to challenge yourself against other talented players. But by playing so much and practicing less, you don't really understand the X's and O's on that high level. And then, the skill base, talent level base, the athleticism and talent is there. But in terms of the high level skill and high IQ, I think this is where just relying on talent and playing falls a little bit short. So, there's always going to be unique talents. There's always going to be high IQ players. There's going to be guys that come through the system and assert themselves. But we see more players with the high IQ and high skill level come from Europe. Maybe they're lacking some athleticism in this way or that way. But you can always play at the next level. You can always find ways to contribute if you're smart and skilled. And I think this is what we see from the European players. They can find ways to contribute and help a team because they have the IQ, they're smart, and they have the skill level to find a way to fit in and complement their team and complement. It's hard for just an athlete to fit in, right? It's hard for a guy who doesn't have that IQ to fit in. And I think this is many times what we see as players, go to new leagues and new levels. The players that are able to separate themselves, it comes down to the IQ and skill. And this is what we see being developed well in the European game.
Okay, if you had to choose one team from NBA from next season, 25-26, that really fits for your coaching style, which one would it be and why it's Indiana Pacers?
Why are you choosing Indiana Pacers for me? I love to watch the Pacers play. They were so much fun to watch, but I would choose, Oklahoma City. And the reason is, the way we're playing up here right now, we've got some really good point guards that are, pressuring the rim and scoring and getting downhill and creators. And we've got some, I think, good floor spacing and player movement and different things. They play at a faster pace than we do for sure. But I think, Oklahoma City is a fun team to watch and a great role model and example for a lot of modern teams.
Is it the end of the develop of the game, fast pace, 3-pointers, a lot of defense, which sometimes it's invisible and people tell that NBA is dying. But do you see the space for the new things coming?
Yeah, it's funny you ask this because, I'm always searching and finding ways to try to improve. So we're at the end of our season in the playoffs and, you're trying to find little tweaks that can make a difference to help the team. And I was watching some Memphis Grizzlies floor spacing and teamwork and movement off the ball. And I think that, I'm looking at these things and it's some very simple concepts that there's always little tweaks and little additions that will help a team. There's always little things offensively, defensively that you see that like, oh man, I like this. And one of the things I love about coaching is after the season, evaluating, okay, where can we get better? What little things can we do better? And I think that this is one of the fun challenges of trying to improve. So basketball will always develop. There are always new techniques and new things. And, sometimes things come back around, right? So for me, I definitely believe that there's going to be new things that are going to develop. There's going to be coaches that are trying new things and experimenting that stick. So this is what is exciting to me about the game and coaching and just always trying to maximize the potential of the team that you have. So that's a long way of saying, the game will continue to develop and grow. There'll always be new things that people add. And I think what you're trying to put into words is the fact that people get tired of the NBA copycat style. Like teams are trying to, they just copy each other instead of doing their own thing. And this is one thing that you appreciate about the Pacers, right? The Pacers played at that fast pace and they had the unbelievable bench production and they sustained it throughout the game. Not everybody can do that, but then, you look at the Nuggets and how the Nuggets play through Jokic and they have that unique talent and ability. So there's, the Celtics, okay, the Celtics, playing, generating all these 3-point shots and things like this, okay. But they fall short in the playoffs, it's just the way it is. Back in the day, the Rockets just had the rocket ball where they would not shoot any mid-ranges and they fell short. So over time, people will see the strengths and limitations of what they're doing. But there's always going to be experimentation and new things that people like.
I was thinking you are going to pick Bulls and sort of...
No. That Oklahoma City, because of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, his downhill playing style, his ability even to post up and score in the post and get to the free throw line, and how they space the floor and the things that they do off the ball. Like these are the things that I think are really relevant for our league's style of play.
You are working as a commentator for FIBA games. Is it a side job or it's a retirement plan? Can you see the future in it?
Oh, I absolutely love it. It's so much fun. Like I really enjoy M.Taylor. He's an outstanding play-by-play man. He makes the games fun and easy. It's just like two friends talking sports, talking basketball. He's helped me so much over the years. A couple of summers ago when I first started, Fran Fraschilla helped me out, gave me some great advice as well. So I'm really appreciative of these guys. It's one of those things where it keeps you around the game. I love the national teams and the big tournaments, and I'm thankful to have participated in the World Cup and in several, Eurobaskets. I think that's unique for an American coach. But just to be around the game and socially see friends and meet new people and talk basketball. Like, I absolutely love it. Those opportunities, they're special. So you can't always just say, hey, they're guaranteed. You make the most of them. But it's definitely a great, let's say, side job. I could see it in the future being something more, but again, those are, organizational network decisions to say, hey, we like this guy. We want him to do this, more. But I love coaching first. I want to coach as long as I can. I've had wonderful experiences all over the world, friends for life all over the world. And even here in Winnipeg, I'm so proud of what we've been able to do and really hope we can bring home a championship in 2 weeks to the city.
So, Coach, first of all, good luck and success in playoffs. I want to record the third one with the championship, sort of big cup in your room, and we can do a video then. I can't tell. I wish I can see you on some national team bench, but yeah, I'm going to say it.
Well, I appreciate it. It's always great to catch up, Michal. You were a really great basketball fan during my time. I'm so happy you're still following the game and doing your podcast. And yeah, it's our dream goal to win this championship for the city of Winnipeg. Hopefully we can get it done. And then we'll see what the future holds.
Thanks for the chat.
No problem, Michal. Say hi to friends in Poland and in Polish basketball.